Did the intro.
Okay. So I should start.
Yes, please.
Okay. Sorry for the delay. Welcome to Birding in the Pine Barrens. Our cover shot there is a beautiful wood duck, one of the most beautiful ducks we have in the world, actually, or in North America. I'm Susan Puder. I'm president and founder of the Southern Ocean Birding Group. I'm a board member of Friends of the Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge. I'm also a volunteer master naturalist at Forsyth. I'm a presenter and judge for New Jersey Federation of Camera Clubs and a field contributor for Nature Photographer magazine. I'm the author of New Jersey Birds and Beyond, which you see there, the cover on the right. And my website is Eagle Creek Photography. No, that's wrong. It's eaglecreekphotos.com. Something I have to fix there. And if you'd like to contact me with any questions after the program that you might think of later after the program is over, you can contact me at photo822@yahoo.com. And please just put in the title that it's questions about the program, so I know you're not spam. So let's start with what is the Pine Barrens or the Pinelands National Reserve. This is an area that was designated by Congress back in 1970s. Encompasses most of the counties in southern New Jersey, from Ocean County down to Cape May. Some counties, like none in Salem County, but a little bit of the slivers in Camden, Gloucester, and Cumberland. We're going to be covering each of the counties and where is the best place to bird and what you'll see there. At the end of the program, we'll be taking questions. At the right is a map that shows you some of the municipalities that are in the Pinelands, if you happen to live in any of those areas or visit. So why bird watch in the Pine Barrens? When I first moved down here, everybody told me, there's not many birds in there. You're better off sticking to the coastline and getting some of the waterfowl and shorebirds that we see. So I said, well, okay. But then I wondered what would attract birds to be in that barren area that the early settlers called it barren because it was so sandy that they couldn't grow a lot of crops. What would you hope to see? And where would you go and when? So let's see if we can answer some of those questions. Well, there's over 300 species that can be found in the Pinelands. It's over half the species found in New Jersey. We have usually about 450 species that can be normally found in the state. It provides nesting habitats for 100 breeding species, and many species migrate through and overwinter in the Pine Barrens because it provides a safe habitat. Various habitats can be found there, from oak and pine forest to bogs and marshes. It has a great variety of birds: raptors, songbirds, waterfowl. Or perhaps you might be seeking the Jersey Devil. And, heaven help us if you come across that when you're out there birding in the Pine Barrens. I have yet to see it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not there. There's over 1 million acres it could be hiding. So let's start with Ocean County. This is where I live. And it's the largest county in New Jersey. It's 915 square miles. And about half the county is part of the Pinelands Preserve. And there's 27 Ocean County parks and conservation areas. And here's a picture of a pine siskin, which we are seeing this winter. They're a boreal bird. We usually get influxes of these every couple of years. And this year is one of the years because there's a low pine cone production in the boreal forest this year. And a lot of these birds then head south and really like the Pine Barrens because they have the pine seeds. This is a pine siskin. We're also seeing this year a lot of evening grosbeaks. We had redpolls and crossbills. have been seen. So this is a good year for birding in the winter. Let's start out with Collier's Mills. This is located in Plumstead, Jackson area off of 539. It's over 12,000 acres of pitch pine and scrub oak with some wetlands of white cedar. The best time to bird at this location is June and July. The winter is heavily used by hunters, so you have to be a little bit careful. Mostly that's in like December through January. But it's also one of the best sites for red-headed woodpeckers. You're almost always guaranteed, because they breed there, to see one of those beautiful woodpeckers. And it's also one of the New Jersey Audubon's important birding areas. So here's a picture of a red-headed woodpecker on the left and the red-bellied woodpecker on the right. Now, some people get them confused, thinking, well, the red belly has a red head, so it must be a red-headed woodpecker. No, it has slight red on its belly here, but you don't usually see that because the belly is really against the tree. People who named it, early ornithologists, would shoot them, and then they saw the belly, so they called it a red-bellied woodpecker. If I had been around, I would have called it the red-crested or red-capped woodpecker, but nobody asked me. On the left is the red-headed woodpecker. Now you can see there's quite a distinction between the two. The red belly is more of a ladder back. The red-headed has a solid white and black wing coverings and a white belly and a really striking deep red head, and the entire head is covered. And they're both very large woodpeckers compared to like our downies. But if you see a red-headed woodpecker, you've known it because it's so distinctive. Also, we can find at Collier's Mills and other areas in the spring would be the eastern towhee and blue grosbeaks. Now, when you see some of these birds, this doesn't mean that they're the only birds you're going to see there. You can only see them there. These are just a sampling of some of the birds that can be found there, and it can be found in other areas around the Pinelands. Also, orchard orioles can be found there, and brown thrashers on the ground eating worms and grubs, as you can see here in the photograph. Orchard orioles are a little bit darker, a little bit more distinctive looking than Baltimore orioles, but they both will be in the same sorts of habitat. Cliff swallows can be seen at Collier's Mills. I've never seen one there, but I have read that they are nesting in that area. And then Savannah sparrows, which is much lighter than our normal song sparrow. You can see the lighter color and lighter brown color with the red or the yellow lure or eyebrow over the eye. Another great place to go in the spring and fall is Double Trouble State Park. And this is located in Bayville. You can get there from the Parkway. It's over 8,000 acres of Pinelands watershed. It's also a preserved historic village that was used for cranberry production and Atlantic white cedar milling. So there's a nice little village there, makes great photo ops for photographers. Cedar Creek provides fresh water for bogs and swamps and cranberries. And fall and spring migrations are the best there. And this is another Audubon important birding area. And a description of that would be this program identifies areas that provide essential habitats for sustaining bird populations. So you'll see that we use the IBA at several of the locations we'll be visiting this morning. During the spring and fall migrations, black-throated blue warblers can be found there. A very pretty warbler, sort of an indigo blue with a black throat, and it always has this white handkerchief looking on his wings, so that helps you identify this as opposed to maybe an indigo bunting or a blue grosbeak. Common yellowthroats are seen all along our coastal areas. They're another warbler. They remind me of Zorro because they have this little black mask. And they're quite common in the area, and some of them might even stay longer into early winter before they migrate out. And you can hear them more than see them. You know, warblers are very difficult to find because they're always eating insects and they move quite rapidly around in the forests. Some other birds you might find at Double Trouble and other areas is the brown creeper, which is a bird that goes up and down trees, and you can see that he uses his tail as a counterbalance, and they're looking for grubs and things, insects in the tree. They'll go up the tree, and then when they're complete going up the tree, they'll come back down to the base of the tree and then work their way up again. So if you see a bird doing that kind of behavior, it's probably a good chance that you're seeing a brown creeper. Another pretty little bird is a ruby-crowned kinglet, and you can see his crown here is ruby, but when he gets agitated or he's in breeding or protecting his territory, his crown will be raised and is quite visible then. Normally, if it's down and you're not on this right angle because they're usually above you, you won't see the ruby crown part of that, but they're a cute little insect eater. Another place where it's possible to bird, though not this year, is the Joint Base Dix, Lakehurst, and McGuire. To get in, you need proper identification. You need to go with a group. They need to have your license number and things beforehand. The Southern Ocean Birding Group usually schedules a trip there in early June, which we haven't done the past 2 years because of COVID. Hopefully we'll be going again next year because they have protected grasslands at Lakehurst. And grassland birds are birds that you really don't see many places outside of McGuire or Lakehurst, and it's really easy to see that. So we usually have carpooling, and we go in for a few hours in the morning to check out some of the birds. And some of the birds you might see there, and what's the main attraction is the upland sandpiper. Usually they're flying above you. If you get some close shots like this is really rare, but this is a sandpiper that really doesn't hang out at the water. He's a grasslands bird. He's rather larger than most of the little peeps that you might see along the coastline. So this is what the main attraction is, to go to Lakehurst to see the upland sandpipers. Some other birds you might see there are the horned lark and eastern meadowlarks. I understand horned larks now have been seen along the dunes of the coastlines, especially when we have snow. They move to the dunes to feed, and we seem to be having groups of those here all winter long. Eastern meadowlarks, we do have a couple that are still here. I saw a couple at Forsyth a couple of weeks ago, but these are more spring birds. And you have a really good shot of seeing these. You're almost guaranteed to see these when we go to Lakehurst. And if you're interested in going next year, please check out the Southern Ocean Birding Group's website and our calendar, and we will have information on there if we plan to go next year. Other thing, they have nesting kestrels there. Grasshopper sparrows are another more rare sparrow that we can find there, and also eastern kingbirds, which is a flycatcher. Ocean County parks, if anybody lives in Ocean County, there's lots of parks in the county. Jake's Branch is located in Beechwood. Wells Mills is located in Waretown. They had the evening grosbeak there back in December, I guess, was there. Cloverdale Farm is located in Barnegat. I could walk there if I need to. They have a really good place for raptors. They have nesting pairs of red-tailed hawks. They have coopers. Once in a while, a merlin will show up. Good for sparrows. They had a bufflehead on the lake. Last year, they had a goldeneye. So they get a good variety of birds there. All parks offer walks and trails to find a variety of birds to the typical Pine Barrens habitat. And that's from songbirds to raptors to waterfowl to shorebirds. Some of the birds nesting there at these parks is the eastern bluebird, and they're there year round. Yellow-bellied sapsuckers have been seen this winter, and also you can see them more in the fall, I would think. And they're another woodpecker species. Great crested flycatchers are there in the spring and summer. They're a flycatcher, but they migrate out of the area. Tufted titmice, excuse me, are birds that are there, especially in the winter. Most of them go more north of northern New Jersey to breed. But some can be seen year-round. This year, as I said, the boreal birds coming down. We have red-breasted nuthatches around. One of my friends has one coming to her feeder every day. This is not a bird that we get frequently. Like I think last year we didn't have any down here. So again, this is a boreal bird that has been down a lot this year. White-breasted nuthatches, though, are native, and we will see white-breasted nuthatches all year round in New Jersey. Some other birds that can be found in the Ocean County parks is merlin, which is a smaller accipiter. No, it's a falcon. And that's, they look sort of like, they're like a smaller version, a more compact version of a peregrine falcon. And spotted sandpipers. I saw this at Cloverdale a few years ago. And we have Baltimore orioles. And if you put out some oranges, you might get orioles coming to your feeders in the spring and fall, spring through fall, summer. And as I said, we had a common goldeneye, which was, this is a male drake, which was on the pond at Cloverdale a year or two ago, which was very unusual to have that. They're common goldeneye you can usually find in Barnegat Bay along maybe Sunset Beach in Harvey Cedars, or is that Surf City, that area. Sometimes you'll find them. I've seen 2 females out there this year, but no males, but they must be there somewhere. Another bird that draws a lot of attention is the Mississippi kites now that we have that are breeding in Waretown. This is the chick from last year. This is the first time I've been able to see it, the chick. They had a nest in somebody's yard, so if you're on the street, you could be able to see them. These are the first breeding pairs of Mississippi kites in New Jersey recorded, and they've been breeding there for at least 3 years now. This is a southern bird, and because of climate change now, they're moving up north. And lucky for us, Waretown's the next town over from where I live, and you can get to see the chick. There's a little bit older one on the right, which is fledged, but he's still being fed by a parent, and the parent comes by and does like a drive-by and dropping off a songbird, I think that got. Normally they'll eat things like dragonflies and damselflies and flying insects, but they will take a bird once in a while. Great Bay Wildlife Management Area. That's Great Bay Boulevard and Tuckerton Little Egg Harbor. They have a great variety of waterfowl and sparrows. There's a 4-mile drive to the end of wetlands and marshes, and it's best fall through spring. So this is a road that goes down. It goes all the way down to where the Rutgers Research Center is. It used to be called 7 Bridges, but there's only 6 bridges. But it's a great area to go if you're in, and it's right off of Route 9 if you're in the Tuckerton area. There they have nesting osprey. There's several nesting osprey there that you can see. And osprey should be coming up. The males should be coming up sometime next month. About mid-March, they start showing up and preparing the nest. You know, they redo the curtains, they dust it, clean off the nest, get it all ready for the females that come up a little bit later. American bitterns. Some people have seen bitterns down there this winter, which is a nice find. This was taken down there when we had a frozen area, and the bittern was quite friendly. It was like 12 degrees or something, so he was almost ready to come in the car. In the spring, we get the snowy egrets coming in, and we can always usually find belted kingfishers down there in the spring. Black skimmers are there in the summer. Black skimmers have the longest lower mandible of any bird in the world, and they use that to skim along the tops of the water trying to grab a fish. Great egret having lunch. He's having, looks like a sort of catfish that he's eating there. And they do have a bald eagle nest down there. So I think this is like going to be the third year that they've been breeding down there. It's not close, but you can, if they have binoculars or a scope, you'll be able to see the bald eagle nest. There's also some threatened and endangered sparrows that can be found during the summer and late summer in the grassland areas along the marshes there. We have seaside sparrows and also the salt marsh sparrow. More easily heard than seen because they usually are down deeper into the grasses and you can't see them, but you can certainly hear them. And they are threatened because of sea rise. They nest on the grasses, and with the sea rise, the water, if we get some of the storms like we've had this past few years, they flood the nests and the eggs can't survive. So that's one of the problems with sea rise, that these species are now threatened and endangered. I'd just like to mention that my birding group is doing a cleanup. We do this as our community service project for Ocean County. We were supposed to do it last year, and of course it was canceled because of COVID, but we do have a new date, and we're going to try to do it on April 10th of this year. We meet at 9 o'clock at the Jacques Cousteau National Estuarine Research Reserve at 130 Great Bay Boulevard. And what we do is we give you supplies. You can do it socially distancing. Of course, this picture was taken before COVID, but it's very easy because we just go down along the road and we pick up all the trash and the plastic that has accumulated over the winter, especially because we've had a lot of flooding this year. I'm sure there's tons of plastic and bottle trash along there. So if anybody's interested in joining us, please visit our website, which again is southernoceanbirdinggroup.org. And we will have details about the cleanup again, which is going to be April 10th. And we could use all the help we could get. If you want to get out, you've been locked in the house for months, this is a good thing to go out and do this nice community service project. Other birding areas in Ocean County are Brendan Burden State Forest, Island Beach State Park, Greenwood Forest, Pasadena Wildlife Management Area. Oh, hold on, phone ringing. Sorry about that. The Pasadena Wildlife Management Area and Manahawkin Wildlife Management Area. I was just down there. That's Stafford Road that goes in there. I just saw there's some field and tree sparrows hanging out. And sometimes you can usually see a short-eared owl there. Okay, moving on to Burlington County. This is the heart of the Pine Barrens and the Pinelands. It's the second largest county in New Jersey, and it's 820 square miles. And here you see a tundra swan, which you can find at White's Bog. There's usually 20 or 30 of them at White's Bog Village. So here, that's in Browns Mills. It's part of the Brendan Bird State Forest. which Brendan Burn is about 30,000 acres in the heart of the Pine Barrens. 3,000 acres of blueberry fields, cranberry bogs, and Pine Barrens forest is located at White's Bog. There's over 200 species have been sighted, mostly waterfowl that come onto the bogs. You can drive or walk along the bog dikes. I would wait till it's not so wet to do that. And early August is best for shorebirds, and winter is the time for tundra swans. I hope to get out there sometime because I haven't seen any tundra swans this year. Some of the fall or late August, these are birds that are coming back down from their breeding areas in the tundra, and they're coming back with their brand new shiny plumage. You can see a pectoral sandpiper there, a least sandpiper. These are yellow legs, greater yellow legs. We even saw some yellow legs at Forsyth down there. So I guess it's been such a mild winter that some of these birds are sticking around instead of migrating. Solitary sandpiper, and occasionally they get this nice rarity, which is a buff-breasted sandpiper. Beginning of August is really the best time to go, and it's not too buggy. I don't remember seeing or having any really insect issues going around there. Wilson's phalarope has been seen there occasionally. Green herons hang out there all the time. In the August, you'll be lucky. You'll probably see gold-billed terns there. There's usually quite a few hanging around on there because gold-billed terns eat mostly insects, and they'll also eat some mollusks and things like that. They're not like Forster's terns that deal with a lot of fish. So that's why gold-billed terns like the bogs. And in the winter, of course, there's the tundra swans. Also, you might see a red-tailed hawk, and eagles fly over because there's probably some neat breeding pairs in the area. So it's always a thrill. I think there's over 200 breeding pairs now in New Jersey of eagles, and even though you might think that they're pretty common in some areas, it's always a thrill to see them, especially the adult fly over. There's also Franklin Park and Preserve in Woodland Township. The Conservation Foundation of New Jersey purchased 9,400 acres in 2003. There's 21 miles of trails through the former cranberry farm, wetland habitat and pine oak forest. It's also another important Audubon IBA, and they're doing a restoration of Northern Bob White project there. And spring and fall, the best. Now, they had a northern shrike there like a month ago, which I did not get to see. So they do have rarities that show up, but normally you'll see things like Cooper's hawk, wood thrushes will be there. There are a few that are left in the winter, but mostly that's a fall bird that we'll see there. They say that they're barn owls. That's listed that they have been seen there. I've never seen one there. I've never seen a barred owl there, but these are owls that might typically be there, but of course you'd have to go at night to either hear them or even see them. And this is the Bob White, Northern Bob White, which are doing a project for restoration. These are like our little quail area. And of course, habitat loss is one of the major reasons that they're a threatened bird in New Jersey. There's also the Michael Huber Prairie Warbler Preserve that's in Tabernacle. It's a pitch pine and oak forest, and it provides the habitat breeding for prairie warblers. That's located off Route 72 in Burlington at Suey Place in Tabernacle, and spring would be the best time to see them. So there's a prairie warbler. Really pretty warbler, and they have a really distinctive sound. So if you learn they sort of go up the scale, so it's easy to hear them. Wharton, get it off of here. Wharton State Forest is the largest tract of land in New Jersey in the state park system. It's parts of two counties, Atlantic and Burlington. There's over 100,000 acres with 30 miles of marked trails, another Audubon IBA. It's home to Batstow Village, which is really an interesting place that they did cranberry and also glass making. And Carrazza Road, which is off of Route 5, no. It's over by, I can't think of the road name, but that's a great place to go. It's by the Carrazza Monument, the memorial. And if you go there in early July, you'll have common nighthawks doing breeding, mating calls. Pine warblers, something that you can find easily in Wharton. There's a male and female. Eastern screech owls have been seen there. Screech owls come in two morphs or colors. They can be red or they can be gray. So these are red morph. And here's the common nighthawks that are off of Carrazza Road. This is one just sort of sitting around. During the day, they usually they're just hanging out and sleeping because they take off when dusk comes because they eat insects. So they get the flying insects. Here's one coming. They have a very distinctive stoop call, the males, but you can see if they fly and have these white patches under their wings. So that makes it very distinctive to see them. And they have a very large mouth that they open up so they grab insects as they're flying along. Other birding areas in Burlington County include Bear Swamp at Red Lion Preserve, Penn State Forest, Brendan Bird State Forest, the West Plains Pygmy Forest, Brightview Farm, which is great for grassland birds, and Bass River State Forest. So just to tell you what every good bird watcher needs, you need a pair of binoculars, you need a good field guide, and if you're really interested, you can even carry along a scope with you. So this is what the best bird watchers carry. And they have vests so they can have pockets to put all their gear in and a hat to keep the sun off of us. Atlantic County, it's 672 square miles. All of Atlantic County west of Route 9 is situated in the Pine Barrens or the Pinelands Preserve. And not all the best locations to bird watch is telling you that not all the best bird locations is along the coast. You can go inland also to see good birds. This is a black-crowned night heron. Atlantic County Park, Estell Manor is a great place to bird. My birding group usually goes down here every spring in April to look for warblers and other passerines or songbirds. It's 1,700 acres located in Mays Landing. There's 20 miles of trails. So there's almost a 2-mile swamp trail boardwalk that you can walk on. Best in April during spring migration for warblers and other songbirds. And some of the songbirds you'll see there could be the black and white warbler, very aptly named. And there's breeding prothonotary warblers, which is a really pretty songbird. And you can tell warblers, they have these more delicate bills because they use it for insect eating. And prothonotaries are breeding there in the water areas. You can probably find yellow warblers there. Again, there's our common yellowthroat would be seen there, or Zorro of the bird world. Northern water thrush have been seen there. That's another warbler, but always again running water. They'll be there. We can find some wide-eyed vireo have been seen in that area. And that's another insect eater, vireos. Very pretty bird. And look at that striking eye ring. The white eye ring make that vireo so attractive. Veery, which is another flycatcher. type bird can be seen there, and American redstart. This is a female, which doesn't have any red. So some birders call it a yellow start because it's all yellow, but they don't have any red, but the males have striking red. Tuckahoe, the Lester MacNamara Wildlife Management Area. It's over 14,000 acres of salt marsh, freshwater rivers, impoundments, and pine barrens. It borders Atlantic and Cape May counties. Fall through spring are the best times for waterfowl, but fall is heavily used by hunters, so just be aware of that. And there's dirt roads along the impoundments, and with all the rain and snow and ice we've had, you don't know what the conditions of those dirt roads are going to be and how stable they are. Things that can be seen there would be the northern shoveler, especially in the fall and winter. There's a lot of shovelers around these days. Great blue herons would be there, and herons will stay here year round as long as they can find food in the water areas that they use haven't frozen over. Red-shouldered hawks have been seen in New Jersey this fall and winter. That's a youngster over there on the left. And northern harriers, and this is a gray ghost, which is the male northern harrier. All can be found at Tuckahoe. And some other birding areas in Atlantic County is, of course, the Edwin B. Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge with the snow geese, Peasley Wildlife Management Area, Makepeace Lake Wildlife Management Area, and the Greater Egg Harbor Wildlife Management Areas. I do have a whole program on Forsyth, so that's why I don't cover that in this program. But here, there's usually several thousand snow geese there. Cape May, 620 square miles at the tip of New Jersey. It's only the northern sections of Cape May are situated in the Pine Barrens or the Pinelands Preserve. And it has of course, Cape May has some of the best birding areas in the world. Now, this is the redstart male. And we just saw the redstart female that didn't have any red on him. Well, he doesn't really have red either. It's more of an orangey red. So that's the male redstart. In Belleplain State Forest in Woodbine, great place to go in April for early warblers. It's 21,000 acres of forest, young oak, pine, white cedar. It's got paved roads and some dirt trails that crisscross the park, and best in early spring for warblers and other passerines or songbirds. And we have a field trip there in April. And what we can see there again is the black-throated blue will be in. Worm-eating warblers. They're warbler that sticks mostly to low-lying trees or stumps, and also on the ground. You can find them. Here we have hooded warblers that are sort of just the opposite of what the common yellow throat is. These have a black throat and a black hood, but the yellow masks. So hooded warblers are almost always seen or heard in Belleplain. We have eastern phoebes. That'll be coming in early spring. We have sharp shins. Hawks can be seen, and blue-gray gnatcatchers. That's another sign of spring is coming when you see your gnatcatchers. And they nest down there. So if we go down in April, sometimes we see them making their nests. Eastern wood peewees can be seen down there. There's another flycatcher spirit. But the thing that normally comes in early is the yellow-throated warbler. And I have yet to really get a great photograph of one. This is one of the best, and you can tell it's not that great, but they hang up high in the canopy, so it's really hard to get good pictures of them. At least I find it difficult. But yellow-throated warblers is almost guaranteed to be down there in April if you go down to Belleplain. Other birding areas in Cape May that's included in the Pinelands is Beaver Swamp Wildlife Management Area and Dennis Creek Wildlife Management Areas. I've never been to either of those, so I can't comment on it, but here's a marsh wren that would probably be at the swamp areas. And finishing up, we're finishing up in Heislersville, which is part of Cumberland County. This is East Point Lighthouse, which is down there. It's 6,000 acres of wetlands near the mouth of the Morris River. You can walk or drive in Heislersville on the dikes around the impoundments. East Point Lighthouse is the best in spring for shorebird migrations. And if you go down in May, almost guaranteed to see red knots down there. In the Heislersville, there'll be, and along the coast, Bay areas will be the least sandpipers, short-billed dowagers. These are all birds that have they're coming up from Central and South America for breeding. They stop over here in New Jersey, and then they continue up to northern Canada to do their breeding. So we're a stopover, and they sort of stack up the food, and we get the red knots. They're only here usually about for 2 weeks. They eat almost exclusively on the horseshoe crab eggs, but they have to fight off all the laughing gulls, which are also up here, to get the eggs. The red knots are now threatened in New Jersey, and but they're a pretty bird, very about the size of a robin. And when I first started birding, I'd see maybe 15,000 of them. Now our numbers are down to about 11 or 12,000, but they had really dropped really low to about 8 or 9,000 a few years ago because of the harvesting that they were doing of the horseshoe crabs. New Jersey now does not allow harvesting of horseshoe crabs, but they do in Delaware. So their food supply is still a little bit limited. You can also see at Heislersville skimmers, usually dozens and dozens of skimmers there. And here's a group of them doing their skimming thing. Also see Dunlin. We have Dunlin here in the winter, but they do not have the black patch. This is when they're in breeding, and they will have the black patch on their bellies, and it's really easy to tell what they are. And they also have a slightly droopy bill. Clapper rails can be seen down in Heislersville, semi-palmated plovers. When they come in the May down there, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of birds coming in. Also semi-palmated sandpipers can be seen down there. And then a rarity that comes in only once in a while, this is a European bird, is the curlew sandpiper. So you can tell it's got a very curved bill, but they don't have that black under patch, and they have very really speckled plumage. Other locations, and of course the geese are breeding. They're all over, but they're really cute when they're little. It's when they get large that they're a problem. Corson Inlet Wildlife Management Area is another area in Cape May County. And I'd like to thank you all for attending. I know we had to start this over and you had to wait a little bit, but what else can you do on a snowy and icy day? And here's a mockingbird, northern mockingbird, to thank you. And if you have questions, please call in to the number listed. That's 1-929-205-6099. And there's the meeting ID. Please mute your computer if you're calling so we can avoid echoing. And there's also a 30-day delay, a 30-second delay, 30-day delay. That's just the mail. Delay between you on the YouTube stream and live webinar when you called in. So.
All right, Susan, thank you very much. It was really neat to see a lot of those birds, particularly some of those shorebirds I see on a regular basis, but I didn't actually know a lot of their names. So it was great to check them out. And what a great resource. You really showed us all the places you can go out and bird in the Pinelands or Pine Barrens. And man, there's a ton of places to go. So that's going to be really helpful information, particularly when people are looking for things to do. So that's great. I got to spend a fair amount of time this fall and early winter in Bass River State Forest, and a lot of those, like the white-breasted nuthatch and a lot of those other warblers I really saw many times. And I had the opportunity twice to run into a barred owl, which was really, really interesting, in the same general location just after the break of dawn.
And there has been snowy owls down here too. We try not to give locations, but they have been seen along the coastal areas.
Yep. Yeah, it's just one of those neat, interesting facets of both the pine barrens and the shore, really. But that combination just makes for great birding opportunities. In both places. I live in Tuckerton, and I've spent a good part of my life down off of Seven Bridges Road, and that is an absolutely fantastic place to see all the different, ducks and geese, but also, just like I said, a lot of those other shorebirds and, things like even the red-winged blackbird is just all over the place at a pretty prolific rate. Okay, we have a caller. I'll unmute them. Hello, you're live on the air with your question.
Hi, Joel. Susan, that was a terrific presentation. My question is, what is the meaning of the reference semi-palmated? I imagine it refers to some kind of characteristic of the bird, and I've never heard that term before.
Okay, semi-palmated sandpipers, and means that their feet are not completely webbed. They have some webbing on their feet, but doesn't cover the whole foot, let's say like a duck would have it completely webbed. So there's a little bit of webbing between the toes, so that makes it semi-palmated.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Could you permit me one other question?
Sure.
Do you have any recommendations for photographic equipment, lenses and things for the shots that you were getting? They were terrific.
You need big glass, at least 400 millimeter to 400 to 500 millimeter lens. Wow. I have a 150 to 500 zoom that I used for most of those shots.
Wow. And how do you hold them steady? Are you using a tripod with that or a mono?
No.
It's all handheld?
They're all handheld, and it's not easy. As I get older, it becomes more difficult because the lens, the camera, are 8 pounds. So,
wow.
So I have to do my weight training.
No, but they're very steady. Really, really beautiful focus.
Well, you can use if I'm in the car, you can use your window as a bean bag and use your window. If I'm out, I might use a tree or a fence or something like that to lean against. I find if I'm shooting, like straight on or down, shooting down is a lot easier. Trying to get birds flying now and holding it up like it's elevated, it's becoming more difficult for me.
Sure.
If you're a younger or stronger person, it's probably a little bit easier.
And no, I'm no younger, but anyway, I'm very appreciative. Thank you so much for doing that. Hey, you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for your question. Yeah, every time I try to take a picture of a flying bird, I almost fail and end up with lots of pictures of blue sky and some clouds. Never seems to work out for me.
You have to stay and follow it. You have to keep following it. You have to get an idea of how it's going to fly, and then just, if you have it on continuous shutter, it'll, you'll hopefully get a couple of shots that are pretty clear. I was down at Forsyth before Christmas, and there was a snowy owl perched on one of the towers, and a peregrine falcon kept coming in to harass it, and it would sort of hover. It was doing some hovering and stuff, and I got the best shots I've ever gotten of a peregrine in flight. I did like a couple of 100 shots, and most of them all came out tack sharp, which I was really pleased about. So I figured I don't have to photograph a peregrine anymore.
Right. All right. We have another caller. Hello. You're live on the air with your question.
Hi, Susan. I've tuned in late, so I probably missed this, but I wanted to know where the white snow geese are this time of year. I know they're coming back, but I'm not so sure where they've landed.
Snow geese can be found at Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge in Galloway. Somebody was down there yesterday and didn't see them, but normally they're in the water. You know, sometimes they go off into the grasses to feed, but there's a couple of hundred, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 down there. I mean, when I first started going birding down there, we have 10,000. So the numbers have really dropped, but there's still a couple of thousand down there. You should be able to find, you know, all birding is a crapshoot when you go. I mean, I went chasing a white-fronted goose in Cape May 2 days ago, didn't see it, and then yesterday there were 4 reports of it. So it's always a crapshoot, but the best chance you have of seeing snow geese is at Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge.
And Susan, have you seen any at either Franklin Parker or White Spogs, a little bit further north?
Usually, I have not heard of any reports of them at White Spog. It's usually there's at least a good population of tundra swans there. There's usually, I heard there's like 20 to 30 tundra swans there. I have not heard of any population of snow geese being there. Franklin Parker, I haven't heard of anything there either. So, you know, it's possible that they could drop in anywhere, but you know, the best place that you're almost guaranteed, I wouldn't say, you get about an 80% chance of seeing them is down at Forsyth.
Okay.
I was down there the end of January, and there was a small flock of maybe 200 or 300. When I was down there with the owl and the peregrine before Christmas, there were, you know, maybe 1,000, 800 or 900.
Okay. Maybe I'll take a trip down there then. Thank you very much.
You know, check on eBird. If you use eBird at all, they have, you know, the latest sightings. People will report on there what they've seen, so you can see if they were seen. That they are, oh, I know, it's the best place to go is go to the Forsyth, Friends of Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge page on Facebook, and they post on there, they update it daily of what was seen on eBird for the refuge.
Okay.
So they have that right on the home page.
Yeah, I'm not really, I haven't really gotten into birding or anything, but I do like to see the snow geese or the tundras when they come through.
Mm-hmm. Well, tundras, you go to White Spog, and snow geese, you go to Forsyth,
Right.
which I would think are the best locations.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, you're live on the air with your question.
Hi, this is Joanne Pannone. I'm calling from Robbinsville. I have had wonderful experience down in White Spog. The Sierra Club takes a trip down there every year. Of course, not this year. But I'm calling because I'm feeding the birds, and I had an eastern towhee, and the cardinal got rid of it. Is that...
I don't think they would kill it. They might... cardinals can be very territorial. I mean, they'll even fight with themselves if they see the reflection in glass. That's why sometimes male cardinals you'll see them tapping at your glass. They see their own reflection and they're trying to get them out of their territory. I don't think they would kill the towhee.
There's only one.
Or Phoebe? Towhee?
Only one.
A Phoebe?
Yep. A towhee.
Oh, a towhee.
An eastern towhee. Yeah, the one that looks kind of like a little robin.
Right.
Yeah,
well, this is he's sort of out of his. Usually, we don't have them in the winter. He might be an early migrant or didn't leave, but he could have gone to another area because, as I said, cardinals can be very territorial, especially with birds that are similar size.
I feel bad.
Well,
Okay, well, I hope.
The cardinal would not kill it. They don't do that, but they would
Okay,
get into an argument, and he probably went off to a different area.
okay, all right. I'm gonna put in a feeder out farther, closer to the woods, and maybe
Yeah.
I can get him back so he can eat.
Yeah. And they're ground
Well-
feeders too, a lot of them. So if you have a forested area near your house, put some seed
Yes.
along the ground there, and that might get they'll
like
come out
under
and eat and go back. Yeah, they go back into the undergrowth.
Okay, all right. Thank you, and wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Yeah, they're definitely migratory. So yeah, when I first start seeing them in the spring, that's one of my real signs that spring's coming and summer's going to be soon when the towies show up. So he may have just moved on and headed south.
Yeah, and then osprey are going to be coming in next month, so you'll see the male osprey. They have an interesting story because the males will come up first and they fix up the nests, and then the females arrive and they stay together until the chicks fledge and can fly on their own in September, and then the parents leave, but they go separate places. The males go one place and the females go someplace else. So they spend like 6 months apart, which I think is something really people should think about if they want to save their marriages.
Right. Yeah. Especially after this last 9 months or so.
Yeah. Separate vacations for half a year, I think works really well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting too, because a lot of times, you see in the summer in particular, you see the pairs of ospreys together, kind of bringing stuff back and forth to the nest. So that's interesting that once they migrate or head out, they split up and go about separate lives.
And they're monogamous. They'll have the same pair will come up unless one of the pairs have died over the winter.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then the chicks stay, the fledglings stay, and they don't usually fly out until like October, November. They will leave and head south, but nobody's told them where to go. And that's with any young bird. The parents don't, in most cases, do not tell them where to go in the south. Do I go to Florida? Do I go to the islands? Do I go to Central America? Do I go to South America? They just know from instinct.
Yep. Yeah, I always thought that was really neat. Those instinct, exactly. How they kind of have that roadmap already kind of built in, and it's interesting. I don't know necessarily if we have those same skills. We kind of learn our behavior from examples set by others, where in nature, for the most part, they got to figure it out on their own, and usually their life's dependent upon it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much, Sue. One time I noticed we had about 58 people who were watching. So certainly there was a lot of interest in this topic. And again, thanks for the great information. I'm better prepared myself now when I head out, even into the backyard, to see what's going on. And just gives you something else to pay attention to and keep an eye out for. And I thank you very much. Okay. Again, if anybody has any questions, maybe come to you after the program is over, you can email me at photo822@yahoo.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. And thank you. And thanks, Joel, for sponsoring this. No problem. Thanks for providing the information, and I'm glad to work with you in the future. Okay, great. On that note, I'm going to shut down the live stream, but our Zoom will still be going on. Everybody have a great weekend and see you out there. Okay, bye.